September 4th, 1944. The Allies liberate the last of Belgium and halt their advance in Antwerp. 3 months and 450 miles have passed since the Normandy landings on June 6th. Throughout Holland, Axis troops retreat in an uncontrolled dash toward the German border. In Germany, Field Marshal von Rundstedt surmises that the Allies have stopped in Antwerp due to short supplies. Taking advantage of the lull, von Rundstedt quickly reorganizes the scattered German troops into a fighting force. On September 14, Allied Supreme Commander General Eisenhower agrees to British Field Marshal Montgomery's plan, Operation Market Garden. If executed properly, this two-pronged assault could bring an end to the war before Christmas. September 17, the largest airborne assault in history, Operation Market Garden, begins. British 30 Corps starts the long drive to the Rhine, while U.S. and British airborne troops secure the road and bridges along the route. For Market Garden to be successful, the Allies must secure every bridge along the 64-mile corridor. But will that final bridge across the lower Rhine prove to be a bridge too far?
And welcome back, guys, to the LP of Close Combat Last Stand Arnhem. So this is the new Close Combat game. It's the latest Close Combat game. Well, not really. Phantoms of the Fog is the latest one, but this one is something I'm very interested in and keen upon doing. So this is a reimagining, remake, however you're gonna call these damnable things, of the original Close Combat 2, Market Garden, called, yeah, Close Combat 2 Market Garden, if I'm not mistaken, it was called, and all in all, yeah, we're gonna do the LP of this. It is quite a different game and quite a different beast compared to the Close Combat Cross of Iron that I finished, and it's more of a Total War kind of thing. But let's get in, because I don't have to really introduce you to the most options in this game. They are all the same, like in Close Combat Cross of Iron, and this again is a blind LP, so totally blind LP. So again, music disabled per usual, enable videos because videos actually work now, enable sounds because sound works now, native language, god damn, and of course English. So we have classical stuff. All in all, it's all the classical stuff. It's the same freaking thing, okay? The engine is the same thing, a little bit updated and all the good stuff. So let's gonna play game. So again, battles, operations, and a campaign. Okay, we're gonna go with the campaign. We're gonna go with the grand campaign. Okay, so we have Germans or play as allies. So we're gonna play as allies this time around, because I have never given an allies overly too much love at all. Actually, in any of my World War II games, I always play as Germans or Russians. Well, recently Germans, but mostly it was Russians. Okay, so we have a force strength, which is a very, very important thing to remember, because this is force strength for the very the beginning, I think. I think it is for the beginning of the game, the beginning turns of the game, mind you. I read the manual, but again, I have to reread the freaking thing 1 billion times, because they added so much, it's just mind-blowing. So you have, this is a difficulty for the Germans, and this difficulty for me. I'm gonna go with elite. That means that I have a few points to spend on my troops and requisition thingies. We'll see that just in a moment. And of course, line is actually recommended setting for historical accuracy. So if I put line on both sides, it will actually be historically accurate. That's 100%, okay? Kind of 100% total of the amount of points you get. If you go on recruit, you get even more. So all in all, it makes the game easier, all in all. So the Germans will have 100 points. They're gonna be historically accurate. Well, I'm gonna go on elite and be like 40% or 60%. I think it's yeah, I think it's 60% points. I maximally yeah, 60%. I think it's how much force strength I actually have, and requisition is gonna be quite short on me. All in all, let's see. Again, realism setting is all the same as in the previous one, except this is immediately there in your face to choose instead of going in the settings options like in Close Combat Cross of Iron. So you have realism setting. They're all gonna be like this. I'm not gonna give anyone advantage in that point. It's gonna be realistic completely. Grognard. Battle ends. So when force morale gets too low, classic. And this time we're gonna 30 minutes, though 15 minutes is actually in manual is recommended because of the AI being stupid. But we're gonna go with 30 minutes because I think this time we should definitely go because again it's more total war kind of battles. So definitely 30 minutes is recommended. After taking all victory location and 2-minute warning before the battle ends. After you take all the victory location, you have 2-minute warning to the enemy, that is, and like in close combat. All in all, it's all the same. So we're gonna go with Operation Market Garden. We're gonna be evil, we're gonna go on elite. The Germans, that means that the Germans all in all will have an advantage over us heavily, but that's okay. We're gonna try and win nonetheless. We may win, we may not, I don't know. So let's go again with Awesome of Evil. Okay, Awesome of Evil.
September 17, 1944. Your paratroops land simultaneously in 3 sectors: Eindhoven, Nijmegen, and Arnhem. Over the next 2 days, you must take and hold key roads and river crossings between Eindhoven and Arnhem Bridge. At 1700 hours, the massive column of British 30 Corps breaks through the German lines and heads north into Holland. They expect the roads and bridges to be secured before their arrival, but will lend assistance if necessary. Though German resistance is expected to be light, speed is essential. Securing the bridges along the route is your highest priority. If you succeed, 30 Corps will punch a hole into the German heartland, and the war in Europe could soon be over.
So, Operation Market Garden. Again, if you never watched actually that movie, the freaking Bridge Too Far, I mean, you have to. I mean, for fuck's sake, it's like classic. It's such a classic, and the music itself is just mind motherfucking blowing. Nonetheless, Operation Market Garden, 1500 hours. So this is actually tells you from which date to which date it actually ends, and time begins and time ends. So it will last from 17 September 1944 to 26 September 1944, all in all. So yeah, but there is actually hours, so it's an hourly combat, hourly turns, so to speak, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, hourly turns. So turns are actually by a few hours. Okay, so all in all, the good stuff. Not by days, but by hours. So that all in all, the game will be quite long. So the first lift of our airborne landing has gone well, and 30th Corps have broken through the German line south of Eindhoven. Due to the distances involved and a shortage of transport aircraft, the airborne forces must be dropped in 3 lifts, with 1 lift scheduled for the afternoon of each of the first 3 days of the operation. Holding the drop zones will be necessary to receive these reinforcements, as well as additional supplies. In the north, the British 1st Airborne is to seize the Rhine bridges at Arnhem and hold until relieved. At Nijmegen, the US 82nd Airborne is to seize the commanding ground of the Groesbeek Heights, the Grave Bridge over the Maas, and the Maas-Waal Canal bridges, and Waal River Bridge at Nijmegen. Intelligence believes the primary enemy threat in this area will come from the direction of the German border, southeast of Nijmegen. North of the Eindhoven, the US 101st Airborne must seize the bridges at Son, St. Odin Road, and Weigel, and then link up with the 30th Corps in Eindhoven. The 2 British corps on either side of the corridor are expected to push north and secure the flanks of the breakthrough. But should they fail to keep pace with 100 of first, well, if they keep pace, the 101st must be prepared to do the job. 30th Corps must drive north as quickly as possible and link up with each airborne division in turn. The Guards Armored Division will lead the way, followed by the 43rd West Sax Division. The 50th Northumbrian Division will follow and help protect the flanks of the advance. The schedule calls for 30th Corps to reach Arnhem in 2 to 4 days. Of course, that's never gonna happen, but we shall try. Now remember again, I've chosen the maximum difficulty for me. That means I'm short on fucking supply immediately. The enemy is full on supply immediately. They have 100% supply, historically accurate supply, so they're awesome like that, okay? Okay, for instance here, see this? See this? Okay, okay. I did try, of course I have to try and see what the fuck is gonna happen. Last time, if I choose an elite difficulty, they didn't have Stock 3, they didn't have Fallschirmjäger, Panzerjäger, Fallschirmjäger, LF-42. They only have like 3 guys, the 3 squads. Okay, not even a platoon size squad. Okay, squad. I mean the platoon size group. Uh, so they definitely now have an advantage. They have an advantage. We do not have an advantage. We are actually quite short on everything. Okay, they definitely have. See, like I mean, this time the entire battle groups, the enemy battle groups are full on supply, and this is gonna be quite a difficult match, I would say. You know, quite a difficult match. So, all in all, it's gonna be interesting. I'm not hoping for the victory, to be honest, because reality-wise, it's gonna be difficult, and I don't feel like I'm actually gonna win. But because as you can see, first and foremost, let's show off the map, the interface, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the ugly stuff, the important stuff. That's gonna be the first part of the entire thing, probably. It's not gonna be battle at all, probably. Like the last time, it's all about the info this time, and because the game has changed massively, not just a little bit, I have to show off from what I actually read from the manual and again help you a little bit. So let's get in. On the right side we have a huge map, historically accurate map of all the regions. Now mind you, I have a sign mode, a symbol mod that will add of course the swastika. Nonetheless, that's about it. Oh, okay, so this is your map. As you can see, we have the Nijmegen, we have the Arnhem, and of course all the rest of evil stuff here. So that's your map. All in all, it's a Total War-esque map. Every region is a region. Well, every part on this map is actually a map connected to the other maps by roads, networks, and all the good stuff. Every major entrance point for the faction has 3 barrels like this. Well, supply depots, if you will. Each of these supply depots give you supplies. Every battle group has supply, and of course has cohesion, fatigue, ammo, and fuel for the tanks. Okay, armor group that do not have, that is tank groups that do not have fuel will not move at all. So if they do not have supply, they will stay where they are for the rest of the game. If they have no supply, if they have no route towards one of the supply stations. Okay, for instance, if we actually did not have anything here, because we actually have a supply point in Son Heat, if we did not have that, and for instance these guys were here, we see the Eindhoven, right? And we see the Nederwetten, whatever. All in all, that's a cutout supply for them then. They cannot get any supply, and all the battle will begin with 100% supply, mind you. But as long as of course, combat goes and goes, they will waste that supply, they will waste the fuel and all the good stuff, right? And they will not get any supply from this supply station here, supply yard if you will, because they're cut out. You can do the same to the enemy, so all good stuff is there. Now, these are the battle groups. Every battle group is actually mostly dependable on what the battle group is. For instance, you have the tank battle groups, you have the infantry battle groups, and so on and so forth. I think there are all 3 kind of different battle groups, but all in all, yeah. Some battle groups can't have tanks. Some battle groups can only have infantry with some support. Usually you always have a support platoon that will actually have, you can put whatever you actually want to put in support platoon, mind you, but usually you also have the mortars, the heavy machine guns, and the teams and all the good stuff, right? Okay, so for instance this is a tank platoon, well, tank battle group, that is. All in all, that's about the battle groups. That they're all different, of course. You can't really buy battle groups from this point on, well, from this position, from this map-like thing, from this strategic view. But of course, as we go in, and I will show you that. But nonetheless, next thing is, as you can see, the map has this contested territory, like classical thing. If you contest the map in the battle, that is, and you see that contested map points, you see the German flag, and of course of course at this point it is also the American, or should I say the Allied flags. So all in all, that's a contested territory. As you can see, the green are of course ours, red enemy, classical thing right there. You really don't need to explain that. But all in all, as you can see here, also you have these bridges which have that can actually be blown. So the point was always about the bridges, and of course any of these bridges can be blown. And you can repair the bridges as long as you have a supply line towards one of the bridges. Okay, so immediately there will like be imaginary engineers come and of course repair, but they need to to 3 hours or 2 to 3 days, something like that. But I think it's mostly hours. But I don't know, honestly. I totally forgot. It's in the manual, but all in all, let's hope we don't get owned. I mean, we need these bridges, okay? At least one of these bridges needs to get to sun heat or whatever, and just, then to secure this first thing, like send Odin Road and all the good stuff, okay? Now, of course, as you can see here, the German supply here lines are, you see, they're there. Okay, they're there. That's a heavy supply yards. Okay, 1 barrel is a light supply yard, and these are the heavy supply yards. There are a lot of supply in there. Mind you, if your units are actually, if I'm not mistaken, in this position here, they can get only fuel. They can get ammo from it, because the ammo, of course, quite realistic, is the Germans wouldn't have brand guns. They would not have the freaking Thompsons and such stuff. They won't be able to have those kind of magazines for their weapons. So all in all, the only thing you will ever get from these supply yards, if you have unit in there, well, of course, if you actually captured also the territory, you will get only fuel from it. You will only get from your own supply yards, with, of course, which look like the Allied supply yards with the freaking star. That's about it. Okay, good stuff. Now, also, supply yards are actually the reinforcement routes from which the Germans will arrive. So this part here, okay, at Helmond, Gemert, for instance, the enemy might come from these points on, the reinforcements, that is. That is the historically accurate reinforcement that will come out from this position. They will not just buy any group. For instance, you can buy battle groups. You can buy units inside the battle groups, and change them, acquisition your units, like classical and close combat cross of iron, for instance. But that's about it. What comes from this specific position is dependent upon, of course, history. So it is a historically accurate kind of stuff. Okay, so that's done. So let's talk about the battle groups. That actually there are some things on the battle groups. So as you can see here, there are stars and symbols for each of the, of course, well, symbols above the battle groups. Okay, now these symbols represent the strong AT or AP firepower. Okay, the green, you have best fucking thing. You have excellent AT power and you have AP power, and of course anti-tank and armor personnel tank. Okay, then goes, of course, if I'm not mistaken, it goes from green to yellow to orange to red and then the black. Okay, so you have 5 modes, so to speak. The green is excellent for everything. Yellow is, if I'm not mistaken, it's the OK AT, excellent AP. Orange is middle for everything. Red is low, I think a little low AT and low AP or something like that, or medium AP. And of course the black is low on everything. All in all, that's about it. So as long as you have green, it's excellent. If you have red or black, it's fucked up. Okay, at this point we have orange, if I'm not mistaken. All in all, yes, that is orange actually color. So we're both on quite medium at the moment, at least. Most actually in the entire force we have here is actually okay. Here actually the Germans only have red, so they're bad on everything. So we will definitely conquer them at Saint Vigil, at Vigil, that is Saint Vigil. But everywhere else we're actually quite contested, I would say. So that's it about those things. There are little things also, like for instance, you will see on the map here. Let me immediately show that and get that thing off my chest, so to speak. Let's see. We need, okay, for instance here, you see this? You have the assault crossings. Okay, so that's the assault crossing here. On the left side, as you can see, you have the dry weather. That, of course, the weather, what it's gonna be. You have the start date, the end date, and of course you can select date, which will only show you what you might get on the main map here at certain dates, and you will see like that. But of course you have this like time at which the reinforcements might come out, and you will just see them in the future, and maybe like that, just connect your strategy to that. All in all, we are at, okay, we are at 3. Okay, excellent. So, of course, after that we have support elements, which of course are the attack bombers. We have the mortars, we have the heavier artillery, and we have a supply drops. Now, of course, one of these things you can actually just drop on your main battle groups here before you add, for instance, you can put them here. Now, our battle group here has actually, as you can see here, a little barely, you can see we have an ability to actually utilize the airstrikes. Now mind you, you have to do this before you're pressing the execute button, because that will execute a turn. Okay, this turn at the moment is a turn that you can actually move stuff and do stuff with. Okay, so yeah, when you do execute, that's it. What you have done, what have you chosen from the support powers, where you have moved, whatever, that's it. It will immediately execute the turn, and everybody will move on their places, and the good stuff and the bad stuff and the ugly stuff, you know, the good stuff. All in all, so the assault crossing, you can actually cross the rivers if the bridges are blown at certain points here. Of course, if there are actually those certain points, because of course you need the ferries, or you have the assault crossing where you can actually use the small boats. But if the enemy, if your, for instance, battle group has tanks will stay behind and actually go into the force pool, and then you have to again reconnect the supply line to actually get those tanks back to use them in that battle group, for instance. You know, like for instance, tanks really can't go on little boats and across the river. Now ferries actually do that, so you can actually cross each battle groups in the entirety. But to cross one battle group you need 1 day, I think, or 1 hour, or 1 day, something like that. We'll see soon enough, hopefully. All in all, the point is that the entire game is much more complex compared to the Cross of Iron. And that is the entire, you know, the entire thing. You know, it's quite different. It's a different beast. It's the same gameplay, mind you, but a different beast. You know, you might not connect these people. You might not actually even connect to any of them compared to the Cross of Iron, because Cross of Iron was your story about your group, your, you know, your band of the Hawk, your thing, and you know, you created connections with those to those squads and you know, kind of stuff. To that battle group, that is, because that was a battle group. All in all, yeah, in this one I'm a little bit afraid just about, because you know, like, you can't connect to these people, and that is the thing I love about Close Combat Cross. You know, you connect to these people, and I love connecting you because they are the point. You know, because for instance, if you go to any of these bastards, you can actually, of course, as you can see, their names and the good stuff and the bad stuff, but you can of course change those names. You can of course change it, but remember that this, at the moment, we have so many battle groups that, you know, just ridiculous to how much you can actually, you know, who's gonna rename all these bastards, for instance? Are you gonna only rename specific battle groups because they are more active or something like that? And you know, that is the problem to me. That is a bigger actually problem, because I like renaming squads and I like giving them something. I'll think about how to go with that part, because honestly that's a little bit worrying part for me. As I said, it's quite Total War-esque. It's not linear. It's not linear progression like in Close Combat Cross of Iron. You know, that is the point. Also, of course, they are advancing towards more open spaces, so to speak, more open choices, more historically accurate, and of course giving you, I should say, more options and how you're gonna play the freaking thing. Because if you today play Cross of Iron, again, you will have all the same maps. There will be no difference at all that you're choosing. The only thing you will have different is how much requisition you have to buy new stuff. Will you have a Tiger, or will you have a T-34 stolen one? That is the, you know, that the difference is only there, mind you, not in choosing of the maps where you're gonna fight, in choosing, as again we have now ammo, we have the fatigue for each battle group, cohesion, so they can rest. The groups that are resting can actually dig in, and the groups that are just waiting on the map after you execute the order, the turn that is, they will be resting. Of course, they will also be able to put in, you know, to make themselves in defensible positions. You know, make all the good stuff to defend certain points where you choose them to defend. All in all, you know, they really added a lot of stuff. Now, I was thinking about doing more invasion, you know, Normandy, that is the Close Combat 5, the original. But I've seen that actually Invasion Normandy, there is the longest day, that is the remake, which actually adds also the ability to have the Invasion Normandy, aka Close Combat 5 Classic. So you have 2 games in one, for instance. That's excellent for the price, but again, I'll try to find a cut-off price for that shit. Anyway, the point is, because I mean, pricing for these games is ridiculous sometimes. I mean, they are all actually ridiculous as fuck. I mean, just ridiculous. But again, the amount of stuff they put actually in these games is just awesome, and that's a big respect I have for them. Now again, the point is that I will try as best as I can, to the best of my ability, to try and do this this campaign, this massive campaign. Ooh, and again, there are so many things to talk about. There are too many, so many things to do. And all in all, that's about it for the first part. I know that this, as I said, this is mostly gonna be from no gameplay at the moment, because the first part is gonna definitely be here. So we'll have enemy, as you can see, we're fighting against Fallschirmjägers, okay? We have the crappier one, as you can see. If you press on the squad, you can see their possibilities, what they have. And of course, you can see the sound, hear the sound effects, you can see the morale. As you can see, the Fallschirmjäger Ersatz, or whatever, are the crappier version of something. As you can see, their leadership morale is totally crap. They're totally rather crap as hell. Of course, we have the machine gun teams, light machine gun team 42, as you can see here. Yeah, of course, they are the Fallschirmjäger again. Now, of course, this time we have the stock 3G. As I said, when I tried it, they didn't have anything. They were on Elite. They don't have shit. Okay, they don't have shit to set up this defense. But this time they have, and I was actually disappointed until I realized that if you lower the difficulty for the enemy, they'll have a lot of stuff and make the game difficult. Because again, in the crossfire, you only have like one slider for the difficulty. It only applies to you, of course. But this time you can apply it to the enemy, and of course give them a massive advantage and make the game much more hard. They have 2 Flak 88s, okay, in Eindhoven. Okay, I mean, this is the map for Eindhoven. Mind you, they're not gonna really put anywhere. I mean, with what I'm gonna attack them, I can actually outflank the 88s, but still, holy crap, you know. And this is, of course, if you pierce over, you can see the entire map, and we're fighting. Now, honestly, of all the games, I would say, I'm not really pleased at how much the Panthers of the Fog, all of the Panthers in the Fog, because Panthers of the Fog is to me a little bit lacking. But all in all, that's about it for this video. I wish you all the best. The next time we fight for Valkensvor. All best.